You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Network here at PACERadio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning. It's November the 18th, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. We're live here at the network's YouTube channel as well as PACERadio.net. Good morning, Rev Cindy. How you doing?
I am amazing. And how are you doing this morning, Al?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little sore, but that's just life.
Life, age, fibromyalgia, arthritis.
All those things. Just getting older.
We have wonderful medicine for that, though.
Correct. Exactly. Talking about medicine and stuff like that. Right off the bat, I'm going to mention some news, which is not something that we can show, but it's something that we can discuss. And that is the fact that our sponsor, Legacy 420, is for sale. Yeah.
Tim, you're only 65, Tim. Come on, dude.
Yeah, Tim posted
Legacy without Barnhart. Like, it's just.
Yeah, Tim posted that he's about to turn 65 in a few months, and he's going to put the place up for sale. So, Legacy 420 is for sale. I would suggest anybody who's interested to get a hold of Tim. It's what's missing. It's got a lab. It's got process facilities. It's got the retail outlet. It's got grow space. Yep. 10,000 square foot building. Lots of parking.
It's just it's going to need somebody with the same heart that's going to go in there to try and hold the same standards. And I hope that they find an appropriate person. And I hope that Tim is choosy on who he sells it to try and keep it going with the same love and vigor that it's going with now.
Yeah, I always looked at what Tim did was history making, and I believe that by purchasing Legacy, there's a lot of history behind that and the way it all got started, because it got started in 2015, and I was around shortly after he got started. And Project Long Arm and the police, they came and visited him. He stood his ground. They came back. He stood his ground again, told them a bunch of stuff. And then from there, things just seemed to explode.
Yeah.
More and more stores were opening in Saginaw, and then that's just started to spread into more places, even across the country. So
now you guys have two of the most infamous or famous green miles in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are a cannabis connoisseur and you go to Ontario, like, they are tourist attractions. It's hard to go to Ontario and at least not go down to one of them. I just, I absolutely love both green miles and the people that are on them. And, one of the biggest places to visit, on that one, of course, is Legacy 420. I was honored to have a tour that Cindy took us on. It's going to be hard to watch it go into somebody else's hands.
Yeah, yes, it will be.
But congratulations to Tim on his decision to retire. And I hope you find an amazing person to take over from you, Tim.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time building a business, and, he's 65, wants to retire and enjoy, life without having to deal with a business. And
or look over your shoulder.
Correct.
Because he is Legacy. So as much as he's stood his ground and he's, planted his roots, there's always that, are they coming? Are they coming?
Yeah.
As much as you try to dispel it, that's, it's there. And yeah.
So good luck, Tim, on selling the place. I'm sure I'll be talking to him at some point before then, and
Yes.
get updates and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, all righty, what do you say? We get into our regular news.
Might as well.
There we go.
Okay, coming to us from Ganja Panor, Massachusetts issues safety guidelines for ground cannabis dust.
Yes, regulators with the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission on Wednesday released new health and safety guidelines for the cannabis industry in an official bulletin, dubbing ground cannabis dust a hazardous material. The regulations come nearly 3 years after the death of Lorna McMurray, a 27-year-old cannabis worker who suffered a fatal asthma attack while working at a True Leaf cannabis processing facility in Massachusetts. True Leaf, a Florida-based company, later agreed to a $14,000 settlement with the Occupational Safety and Health Administration over McMurray's death.
All licensees should be aware that ground cannabis dust is a hazardous chemical that OSHA has issued citations to licensees who have failed to evaluate and classify accordingly. Licensees should evaluate the workplace safety and health risks, including but not limited to skin and respiratory sensation by an allergen associated with ground cannabis dust generated during the processing of cannabis in their workplace. This is an excerpt from the bulletin.
Yeah.
Additionally, the CCC noted that state law requires cannabis operators to follow written workplace safety and health standard operating procedures and take necessary steps to ensure safety for employees.
All licensees, like any business, are required to comply with the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970 and are subject to the oversight from OSHA, the CCC says. Meanwhile, the CCC last month issued fines totaling $165,000 to two of the state's largest cannabis companies, Cureleaf and SN Wellness, for violations including improper pesticide use and failing to follow the state's seed-to-sale tracking program. Improper pesticide use.
Yeah, that one gets me. And I can understand that this poor lady had an asthma attack because that's going to get in there. The dust is going to get in there and coat and make it hard to cough up.
Right.
Like, my heart goes out to her and her family. That's terrible to have happened. I mean, how do you stop the dust? I mean, you don't.
I don't know how the setup would be, but also filtering. And if need be, employees may be required to wear dust masks.
Yeah.
And it's just because of all the dust in the air. She had a precondition. But unfortunately, she died, and that's not good, right?
No.
So, alrighty, on to the next story.
Yeah, coming to us from KNKX, psilocybin bans were passed in almost all areas in Oregon, except for one.
Ooh. The number of places or organs can seek therapy using psilocybin shrank substantially this election. Psilocybin bans passed in all but one of the 17 Oregon jurisdictions that floated the idea. The list: Lake Oswego, Warrenton, Seaside, Oregon City, Escacade, Hubbard, Emily, Sheridan, Mount Angel, Jefferson, Lebanon, Redmond, Sutherland, Rogue River, Brookings, and unincorporated Clackamas County. Nello rejected a measure that would have banned psilocybin-assisted business by 3 votes.
Wow. When Oregon voters established the country's first state-regulated psilocybin program back in 2020, they included the ability for cities and counties to opt out. 2 years ago, 25 counties and 26 towns banned psilocybin in the 2022 election. It's really limiting an important mental health resource, says Jason Bergen, who's with the Psilocybin Assisted Therapy Association.
Bergen is a former police officer who says psilocybin therapy has given him huge relief from his job-related PTSD. He He thinks the bans don't make sense because people are not being forced into the psilocybin therapy. And he's worried that they make people who would benefit from psilocybin treatment travel long distances. I can see his point.
He said, if you have PTSD and you go into the city, that's not exactly the environment that is conducive for you to be non-reactive. Having it more local is important because you could go in, have a session, and then go back home. Like Oswego, voters approved a ban on psilocybin-related businesses with 66% of the vote. Wow. Mayor Joe Buck said the city floated the ban because the state regulations dictating how far away psilocybin businesses must be from schools and daycare centers meant they were really, only a couple of possible locations in the town.
Okay, now this is therapy locations, right? This is not psilocybin stores where people can just walk in. These are people that would have to go into probably some type of professional building or place that's set up to do this.
Yep.
So why the ban?
I don't know.
Like it's a medical thing. It's not a retail business.
It's a lack of education is what it is.
Time.
I mean, like people are scared of it because they know nothing about it.
Yeah. The regulations we have put in place were really tantamount to a ban, Buck said. So instead of putting these regulations in place, we thought it would be right to ask the voters, what do you want? Buck said he personally is a proponent of psilocybin treatment for people who have no other options. Psilocybin is being used to treat various issues from PTSD to addiction, depression, and anxiety.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame when something like psilocybin becomes the boogeyman when its aim is to really improve those conditions, Buck said. But it's totally understandable why voters in our community and all those other communities decided they weren't quite sure about it because it's so unknown, lack of education, as we said. Buck hopes the U.S. Food and Drug Administration will continue studying psilocybin to get a better understanding of its benefits and issues.
The new bans come at a time for Oregon's fledgling psilocybin therapy sector. Cost remains high from $1,500 to $3,500 a session. Jason Berg said the Psilocybin Assisted Therapy Association said supply and demand are out of balance.
Yeah, absolutely. When we have an abundance of service centers and there's just not that many people that need it, he said. Many service centers are struggling. He said, and a few have recently closed. Compounding the problem is the fact that the service centers are prohibited from advertising because psilocybin remains a Schedule I federally prohibited drug. Consequently, there are few ways centers can differentiate themselves and build a niche market.
Counties that banned psilocybin in 2022 include Wallowa, Union, Tella, Morrow, Gillum, Sherman, Baker, Grant, Wheeler, Jefferson, Lynn, Clackamas, Warren, Bolk, Tillamook, Glatso, Crook, Muller, Harney, Lake, Klamath, Douglas, Coos, Corey, and Josephine. Cities that banned psilocybin in 2022 include Philomath, Claney, St. Anne's, La Pine, Redmond, Cascade Lock, Central Point, Eagle Point, Jacksonville, Rogue River, and a whole whack more. I
was wondering when you were going to do that.
I just thought, no, I'm not going through all these things. Too many. But yeah, that's like it just comes down to the Schedule I. But yeah, even though the state allows it, and the state allowed the municipalities to make the decision, it comes down to the municipality. Like if the state,
some things still come down.
Not worried about the federal end.
Yeah, some place still comes down to federal. Like banking is all federal. Yeah. Advertising is, I'm gonna guess by this last story, something that the federal people can latch onto and come down on, and that makes it hard. I mean, and I get it. I am, with my newly decided career, I'm going through the same problems like, how do I advertise?
Yeah.
Where do I advertise?
Advertise. Yeah, exactly. All righty. Get the next story lined up here. And we'll get on with it. Yeah, because that's, the people have voted for it and all that. And then council's rejected. And like I said, it's not a retail store. It's like banning dentists. I don't know. Maybe. Alrighty, next story. It's up.
Okay. Coming to us from Strachan, one man's journey to grow the cheapest cannabis in Canada and be Cindy's best friend. Sorry.
Todd Berry has been working with Cindy and adjacent to cannabis in BC's Kootenay region going back decades. With legalization lumbered its way into Canada, like many in his walk of life, he decided to take a crack at getting a federal license to grow cannabis on an outdoor farm in the region.
What began as a co-op with 2 different farms with plans for more has been pared down over the years through layers of regulations and business and interpersonal challenges into a one-person operation on a small farm about 1 hour north of Nelson, BC. Among the goats and the cows and the hay he feeds them, Todd Berry grows 4 acres of cannabis varieties at Cedar Bug Farms, and he's done there for several years. Now, after more than 5 years of trying, learning, and adapting, Berry says he hopes this will finally be his year to bring a crop fully to the market.
Yeah, he says this year was all about trying to put the pieces together that worked. We had a lot of challenges in previous years, but I also learned a lot along the way. Now, one of these lessons was not to overbuild and to see how the plants respond to being left more to their own devices. In the first few years, the farms had multiple employees working all season long to plant, weed, tend, and harvest. This year, Berry has done most of the work on his own, and that has meant learning to let a lot go.
Weeds are a big part of it. I learned to let a lot of the wild plants just grow, which created a more beneficial micro ecosystem that seemed to support itself rather than spending a lot of time and money weeding and mowing. This move alone meant he could handle on his own what would have been handled by a team of 10 in the first few years. He says that keeping costs down was always part of the plan, which is one of the reasons he chose outdoor production.
We chose outdoor because I saw the drive to the bottom in terms of prices. The amount of overproduction was predictable. I still see outdoor as the best way to deliver something of high quality and value for people to smoke. Though, over the years, the entire process has taken its toll on Berry and the farm. Not only did the co-op model unravel in the first few years, but he now needs to sell the farm to cover the ongoing expenses he's incurred to get to this point.
Despite these challenges and obstacles, Berry is one of the more optimistic people in the industry. He says he prefers to own and learn from his mistakes rather than focusing on the things he cannot change or finding external situations to blame. It's been very hard. Having to sell the land I've been growing on is hard, but I have to stay positive, and that perspective is why I think this is still a viable business. Every year, I've learned what to do right and what not to do next time.
He continues to say my hope is to find someone who will buy the farm and I can continue to operate it for them. So this year's harvest will be what I hope will prove that model. Berry has about 1/3 of his field planted this year and expects 50 to 80 kilograms to be ready for sale in the coming months.
His dream has been to sell into the BC market as an outdoor BC grown product, but he's also exploring other options, including the export market. Finding a market for outdoor product in Canada can be difficult, he says, but he believes that growing at a lower cost than indoor and with a better terpene profile from the natural light will win over consumers who may be more accustomed to indoor product. BC has a long history of great outdoor cannabis, especially in the Kootenays, and we need a way to bring that to the legal market.
There you go.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the through my experience now with growing outdoor, because I grew indoor for years. How do the outdoors grower deal with the outdoor elements, like as far as um stuff, just dirt, stuff like that falling on the plants, being blown on the plants from wind?
Yep.
I don't know, like this is all that, because I can't see gamma rays getting rid of that type of stuff, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows? We'll have to find out someday. Alrighty, next story is up.
Okay, coming to us from Mugglehead Magazine. New York pot farmers take state authorities to court over adult use rollout measures.
A group of cannabis farmers in New York are livid about the state's handling of the adult use market rollout and say it has left them destitute. They filed a lawsuit on Monday. In it, the 120 craft cultivators allege that the Office of Cannabis Management's negligence has resulted in drastic oversupply in the market. They claim that the state regulator was irresponsibly issued piles of cultivation and retail licenses and squashed their chances at fair competition.
It's breaking these poor people who have invested their lives, life savings, their families' life savings. The coalition's legal representative, Dean Pilato, said, and they are dying. He feels that the regulators are just handing out licenses willy-nilly without consideration for the little guys. Some of these unfortunate cannabis growers have lost everything trying to stay afloat since the state opened up the market at the end of 2022. The oversupply fiasco has caused the price of cannabis goods to drop too, thereby making cultivations unfeasible economically.
The lawsuit says the New York Cannabis Office has enabled certain licensed cultivators to unlawfully consolidate in order to increase their canopy allowances into a single larger growing operation, therefore avoiding the strict limits imposed on each individual license. This essentially refers to when companies or organizations in New York with mutual interests have found a loophole to dominate the market by holding the multiple licenses. This violates the state's two-tier system that is supposed to prevent operators from vertical integration and an unfair foothold in the supply chain.
Only select medical suppliers are supposed to be permitted to be vertically integrated in the Empire State. What the OCM has done is created two classes of operators, Pilato said in an interview with WGRZ, an unlawful one that is taking advantage of the market and the people who are trying to follow the law that are getting left behind. And also, something else that they did here over the summer is a lot of the cultivators, because they were waiting to get into some of the dispensaries that were supposed to open but never did, they ended up going to farmers markets.
That's what the state did, is they created a farmer market for those operators, correct? Yep. And now Pilato claims the cannabis regulator is aware of the prevalence of these issues and isn't taking action to change them. Both 66% of the small patch growers in the state currently have a profit margin below 1%. Some of them have even become suicidal and developed health issues, the suit alleges.
Market monitoring and stabilization and a regulatory framework designed to protect licensed operators from unfair competition and market dysfunction is the goal, the lawsuit stated. Cannabis farmers in the state were forced to throw away thousands of pounds of product earlier this year due to the vast oversupply in the sector. About 250,000 pounds of chronic merchandise remained unsold in February, values at over 35 million US.
There you go. So basically, it sounds like, did the state just allow a free market and let the market decide on what businesses survive? Because it sort of reminds me of what Ontario did here when we just opened up the door to retail businesses opening.
Oversaturated.
But
in New York, what they were doing was saying, listen, we're going to look after all the people that have already been hurt, and we're going to help them with turnkey operations, and we're going to help them do this, and we're going to help them do that. And then now they're letting this happen. So like, have they really helped the people they stated they were going to help, or have they hurt them further? Your dog's looking for out. What?
Correct. She's wanting in, so I gotta go. All right, it's dog letting in time as well as medication time. We'll be right back after our session. You're watching Psychedelics Campus Educational News. We'll be about 3 minutes, people.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection! We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from, the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tyndonega.
We have 2 lines of drinks. One is called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with. And then we also have a line under the Red E brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats, and look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario. Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. Are you looking for non-stop, continuous cannabis and psychedelic programming? If you are, then turn your browsers to 420radio.ca or paceradio.net, where you will find the 420 Pace re-rolled Saturday. Everything gets started at 8 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, we're back from a medication session, and Cindy's still medicating. Oh, hey, kitty.
It's our new host.
Yes, and she doesn't scratch at the door wanting in or out during the broadcast.
No.
All righty, we shall get started. We got 4 more stories to cover. We're going to go to Quebec, a couple of them. As well, we're going to head off to Spain. So let's get started on them. And the first one is
coming to us from StratCan. Law firm says that the SQDC broke provincial rules with rotating SKU pricing.
Is that rules or laws? I think it's probably regulations. I don't know. A law firm in Quebec has modified an application for a class action suit against the Sûreté Québec de Cannabis relating to how the provincial cannabis retailer priced their products. On November the 15th, lawyers of Group SGF amended an application for authorization to include what they say is a claim that the SQDC admitted they sold rotating SKUs or SKUs at a lower price than regular SKUs, potentially violating provincial cannabis rules.
Group A SGF first filed a class action suit against the SQDC earlier this year on behalf of the plaintiff, who is Gabrielle Bellinger, alleging the Provincial Cannabis Agency does not comply with the Consumer Protection Act, the CPA. In that case, Bellinger argues that the SQDC forces people to make blind purchases of cannabis products listed on their website. In a press release last May, the SQDC said it was taking the time to look into the issue properly, but noted that its initial comment was that it disagreed with the applicant's claims and intended to contest the application.
Lawyers for Group SGF say they believe that the class action is now open to all cannabis consumers who purchase so-called non-rotating products from the SQDC, whether online or in store. Group SGF says they would have meant consumers paid a higher price for the same product than if it had been put in a product with a variety displayed as in rotation.
Interesting.
The lawyers for the plaintiff, Mr. Gabriel Bellinger, believe that all of this is in violation on the prohibition on providing a discount to the consumer on the price of cannabis as per Quebec's Cannabis Regulation Act.
Yeah. This amendment may still require approval by the court, notes Bellinger's lawyer, who believe that at this stage, such a request should be granted. If not granted, they say they will file a new class action. The original class action includes anyone who has purchased cannabis in the dried flower and pre-rolled categories for which the strain displays on the SQDC website has been strain rotating since October 17th, 2018.
That's a lot of sales to have to deal with. A media representative of SQDC tells StratCan that the agency will take the time to review those allegations. They say in an email, however, we remain confident that we comply fully with the law and that we respect our customers' interests. I know that. Yeah, there was a store I think out west that got fined because it was actually selling cannabis for less than what
we did. That story. Yeah.
So, now to read this, it's just sort of seems similar. Anyways, okay.
That makes me think that a lot of the people that are out there, either at the dispensary level or government, they're starting to realize that they're gouging, they're charging too much. This is starting to be brought to light, whether it's a dispensary selling under or the SQDC trying to make some extra money.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Next story. It's up.
Coming to us from MJ Biz Daily, Spain's government still dragging its feet on medical cannabis market.
Come on. Spain's long-awaited and hard-fought legislation to launch a medical cannabis market in the country has been slammed by pharmacists, patient advocacy groups, and businesses. The draft decree, which was published earlier this year by the Ministry of Health, was immediately criticized for its restrictive nature, preventing the country's extensive network of local pharmacies from being able to prescribe and dismissing cannabis flower as an option for patients.
Under the government's draft decree, Spain's plan for medical cannabis use outlines 4 specific indications for its application: spastically due to multiple sclerosis, severe refractory epilepsy, nausea and vomiting caused by chemotherapy, and chronic refractory pain. But with the deadline for the second public consultation period on the proposals now passed, the industry has once again been left waiting to understand what shape Spain's medical cannabis industry might take.
Yeah, really, taking the time, that's not good. Patients are waiting. People are suffering.
Yeah, People are suffering.
But yet they just taking their time on getting something ready.
Well, I mean, I feel that the only thing that they're doing there is like, I mean, patients are going to help heal themselves. They would rather be illegally healed than legally horrified, in pain or dead or whatever. So all they're doing is giving their legacy market a chance to step up and take control. Help the patients.
Going on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what happened here. The legacy market stepped up and said, well, if you don't got them, we do.
We'll look after them. Yeah. All righty. Here we go. Next story is up.
Coming to us from StratCan. Police in Quebec search properties, make arrests in connection to illicit cannabis.
The Sûreté de Cannabis, or Quebec's Cannabis Smuggling Investigation Service, in collaboration with Quebec City's Police Department, conducted searches on the morning of November the 14th in connection with the illicit cannabis and other substances. The operation, say police, sought to dismantle a criminal organization engaged in the production, distribution, and sale of illicit cannabis and other substances in the Portneuf region between Quebec City and Trois-Rivières.
Police arrested 2 women aged 26 and 32 and 2 men, both aged 32, in the course of 4 searches of 2 residences located in Donnacona and Cape Sanante, a business located in Portneuf, a storage facility located in Donnacona, and a vehicle. The operation involved around 30 police officers, including investigators, the SIJ technicians, and dog handlers from the Sûreté du Québec.
The Access Cannabis Program, that's Action Concertés pour, is a provincial initiative set up in 2018 by the Ministry of Public Health to combat illicit cannabis operations. Earlier this month, police in Quebec arrested 6 and seized a large quantity of cannabis in connection with what they say was a hash processing facility. There you go. A hash place sent down.
We're doing really good today.
We are. I know, eh? We're just getting the last story of the day all lined up here. But you know what? We'll say that, and then next thing you know, this story
will be long.
Could be a long one. It could take us 10 or 15 minutes to get through it, right? And by the time we're done, we'll look at it and say, hey, we're done on time. All righty, here we go.
Coming to us from earth.com, psychedelic use linked to higher risk of schizophrenia.
Alrighty, psychedelic substances, once the mainstream of counterculture, are steadily blending into mainstream recreational and therapeutic activities across North America. But are they safe, they wonder? A recent in-depth study offers some sobering new insights. The investigation reveals a worrying association between the use of hallucinogens, a category that includes substances such as psilocybin, LSD, DMT, ayahuasca, and MDMA, and a heightened risk of developing schizophrenia.
Yeah. The comprehensive study was conducted by researchers at the ICES, the Ottawa Hospital, and the Department of Family Medicine at the University of Ottawa, and Bruet Health Research Institute. Although the positive therapeutic potential of psychedelics has garnered significant enthusiasm lately, the research team cautions that usually such celebration outpaces the thorough understanding of the associated risks.
Uh-oh. Just so you know, this website is messing me up. It keeps pop-ups.
I hate pop-ups. Would you like me to continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Under psychedelic use.
Yeah, I shut it down because it froze me up. Everything was jittery. But if you can read it off, go right ahead.
Okay. The analytic foundation of the study relied on over a decade's health data of people aged 14 to 65 years living in Ontario, Canada. The researchers monitored changes in hallucinogen-related emergency department visits and ensuing schizophrenia diagnosis rates. The results were astonishing. Relative to the general population, an individual with a hallucinogen-related visit to the emergency department had a staggering 21-fold increase in the likelihood of developing schizophrenia. Even after factoring in, co-occurring substance use and mental health disorders, the risk remained 3.5 times higher. And that's why in the field, when we're working as facilitators, one of the first things I was taught was how to screen somebody to make sure that they are both mentally and physically ready to take this medicine. It's a very important step.
Before we'll go through more of the story, and just so you know, I can carry on my part. I just can't share it. That's the problem. As soon as I share it, it starts acting up. But we were talking about this before the show, and like I said to you, boy, I'm surprised that you picked this story, because of the fact that, to me, it sounded a lot of what we were hearing about cannabis when people started talking about the benefits of cannabis and that, for health and all. The concern was, schizophrenia. And, it was all over the news. And I thought, oh, no, here we go again. But from your education.
Yeah, from my education, I mean, I'm not sure if everything that they have listed there, like I don't think that LSD and psilocybin really should be on that list. We've done enough research on those. Like, I mean, Paul Stamets himself has what these people would consider overdosed a gajillion times, and the man is brilliant. So, but we have to be careful with a lot of the bigger, stronger entheogens. It can trigger something that is already in the brain. I don't believe it can cause, but if you are susceptible to having psychopathic tendencies or schizophrenic tendencies, it would be very cautioned to go in on some of the medicines I've learned. I would be insisting on doing a lot of pre-work and working with your therapist to prepare somebody. And there's even some mental disorders or injuries that are very strongly warned against. Like bipolar is one that we really shouldn't serve somebody who has bipolar tendencies. If somebody's already leading in schizophrenia, we really shouldn't serve them. Their brain is already, showing detachments and dissociation, and we don't want to push that further. And that's something that can happen with some of these medicines. Going through an ego death is your brain literally going offline. It's like turning off the computer and unplugging it and doing a hard reboot. Really? That's what you're doing to your brain. And not every brain can handle going through that.
Yeah, just like every computer can't either. So.
Yeah.
All right. We'll continue on with the story. They say that data spanning from 2008 to 2021 also revealed another concerning trend. While the annual rates of emergency department visits associated with hallucinogen use were stable between 2008 and 2012, they saw a sudden 86% spike in the period from 2013 to 2021. Within the 3 years of the ED visit involving hallucinogens, 4% of the individuals were diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yeah, in comparison, the diagnosed rate for the general population was a meager 0.15% within the same time frame, a difference that equates to an alarming 21 times higher risk for the former group. When stacked against the risks associated with alcohol and cannabis use, hallucinogens still didn't fare very well.
Individuals with emergency department visits due to psychedelic use were at 4.7 and 1.5 times higher risk of schizophrenia, respectively, compared to alcohol and cannabis. Despite the study's potentially alarming findings, the study's authors emphasize that their findings do not establish a causal link between hallucinogen use and schizophrenia, and that more information is needed about risks associated with different types and use of patterns of hallucinogens. That part never reaches the headline. That the study authors emphasize the findings do not establish a causal link.
No, and like it's not everybody. And in my time learning psychedelic facilitation and learning to work with the medicine. I mean, I've had a number of mentors and teachers over my time, and really with all of these people that are practicing good practices, it might have happened, a half a dozen times, but that's still too many times. You know what I mean? And a lot of these people, especially for the medicine I studied, it's such a new medicine that, a lot of this stuff is being found out as time goes on over the last 50 years.
Well, these people could be people who are predispositioned with.
Well, yeah. And as we research the people that have been hurt, I mean, that's what it comes out to be. Like, some of them have bipolar, or they have schizophrenia. It just hasn't become active yet, and things like that. And so you really have to be careful in screening your people with the very strong entheogens, such as iboga and peyote and ayahuasca and 5-MeO DMT are the four that come to my mind. You have to be extremely careful.
Yeah. Well, there's as this person here mentions, while there is an enormous enthusiasm for psychedelic-assisted therapy as a new mental health treatment, we need to remember how early and limited the data remains for both the benefits and the risks.
Yeah, and this highlights the urgency for more studies and improved public health measures to better comprehend and mitigate these risks. In clinical trials of psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy, experts integrate safeguards like excluding individuals with a personal or family history of schizophrenia, yes, and very close monitoring.
Yeah. However, the authors warn about the potential risk of hallucinogen use outside of these controlled settings. The study also highlights the need to identify those at higher risks of developing serious adverse events from hallucinogens, facilitating safe recruitment practices in future trials.
Yeah. I mean, and really that's what it is, making sure you spend time on discovery and intake and going over everything with your participant and preparing them properly, letting them know what can potentially happen, so they go in completely informed and they're making a complete informed decision to take this medicine. The implications of this study are very critical both to public health and to policy development. As psychedelics become more accepted for therapeutic and recreational use, understanding the associated risks becomes increasingly crucial. Initiatives for public health education should include specific education on the dangers of hallucinogen use, particularly in cases where there is known issues to mental health disorder.
Yeah. I've closed off the story. Sorry, but
Okay.
it's good to know all the risks, and if somebody has a condition that's could lead to a negative experience, then
I haven't personally taken ayahuasca, but I've done research into what is needed to take ayahuasca, and I've met a shaman out in British Columbia who has a place out in Maple Ridge, and he won't even take you if you've diverted from the dieta. Like, there's 2 weeks previous to taking ayahuasca that you are meant to be on this certain food diet with certain things cut out. You can't even take cannabis heading into this. And if you have, they deny you right there. They want no contraindications. You have to be healing. You have to have a certain mental health decree, and they don't let you in if you don't. And that's one of the the oldest medicines. Like, they've been using ayahuasca for a long time, right? It has a lineage, a number of lineages. So, a lot of these medicines, both in the legacy world and in the therapeutic world, they're kind of on par with that. They have pre-work that they want to do to make sure that you are viable for that medicine.
Yeah. They're screening, right?
Yeah.
Making sure that everything's going to be fine going into it. And that, in the end, that is looking after the client.
Absolutely. This medicine is about healing, not about hurting. And all of these medicines are about healing, not about hurting. So, we have to show them the respect that they deserve to get the healing that we need.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Anything else before I sign us off?
No. Thanks for letting me spew about all that stuff. It's always fun to talk psychedelics.
And that's why I sort of shifted it towards the end, because I knew there'd be some discussion. I'm just too bad that it's a website that has lots of pop-ups and the sharing is a little bit hard.
Bit hard.
Yeah, it's good to know. I was, like I said earlier, I was a little concerned whether everybody was just, it was just a bad headline, just like in the days of cannabis. But it makes sense if you're already predispositioned, just like in the cannabis end of things. Then
yeah, if you go into a hallucination that your brain can't comprehend and understand, that's going to kick off some negative effects. You have to be prepared for the unpreparable. It's I know that it's an oxymoron saying that, but you have to be able to talk to yourself and tell yourself that it's going to get freaky and it's okay.
Yeah. All right. That's our report for today from the Legacy420.com news desk. And thanks to our buds at Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Limestone City Hydroponics, At-Eze.ca, and Legacy420.com. In closing, I'd like to say thanks for tuning in and watching. Plus, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Network here at PACERadio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20 is so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partners 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420 enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at PACERadio.net.